I'm basically just going to reset to something I just said to you a moment ago, which is that I appreciate you showing up to this at 9 a.m. because early mornings are like the bane of every gamer, which takes me back to the Boostio 7 a.m. content type tweet where that comes up constantly. But you guys are pracking right after this, so like 10:30. But that is not the usual thing, or is that the usual thing? Like, what's the work schedule at the moment, practice schedule?
Not the usual. It's usually starting at like 11, 11:30, 12, and going until like 6 or 7. So not the longest day in the world, but it's a little earlier than usual. But I mean, I'm just happy to be practicing. I think we're trying some new stuff, so it should be fun.
You said you took like 2 days off after the crew loss that happened.
Yeah.
And so you were just, what was the feeling? What were you doing?
Depression, just straight depression. I mean, the first day, I kind of just moped, and I sat in bed, and I watched the games, but I was kind of just moping. Then I got some ranked in after. Yesterday was less moping, but watching the games was really fun. The Loud 2G match was insane. That was a very fun one to watch, but kind of just watching the game and trying to stay in it, stay up to date.
Yeah, definitely. Do you feel like now that we're a couple weeks into stage 1, the problems that were plaguing you guys at Masters Bangkok are still the issues that come up, like in the loss to crew, for example? Or do you feel like you've improved things from then, new issues rearing their head?
I would say it's pretty similar, like the problems that we had in the crew match versus Bangkok. I do think like we did get ourselves in a lot of good situations and kind of threw some away. But at the same time, I think some of our early runs in Bangkok I thought were really good. And I thought like for the most part we were just kind of choking good positions. But I thought in the crew match that some of our like early opens weren't even that good. Like we had some pretty bad starts to rounds. So I do think there's a few like new problems along with the old problems that we've had, but I'd rather like uncover them now than like in the middle of Toronto if we make it, or like in the middle of champs at the end of the year. So I do think it's like productive that we're finding out what we're bad at, both in Bangkok and right now. But yeah, I think it's a few new problems and the same old problems.
Got you. Yeah, it is early on in the season. What's like the practice structure for trying to address those problems, fix things? Like what does Kaplan do as the coach in those situations for you guys?
He's took like a few different approaches. I think like the main two is like doing a big server time into like a block of 2 or 3 scrims into like a little VOD session for like 30 minutes to 45 to like re-go over what we were planning on doing for the day, or like if we're doing a new map in the new block, like going over that. But I think the like midday review sessions that he integrated in are really nice for us trying to improve. The other structure would just be like a fat server time into like 4 in a row, and then that's the day. I think those days are more like going over what you already have instead of like trying something new. I think the like midday performance kind of sessions are more for like when you're doing something like new stuff. But those are like the 2 main structures that he's put in.
Got you. For yourself, how are you able to stay sharp at the moment, especially given the opening of the year is pretty grueling as far as the tournament schedule? Hasn't realistically been any kind of break of significance for you guys. How do you stay sharp as a player, but also mentally outside of the server as well?
In the server, it's mostly just like playing a lot to try and stay in form, whether it be ranked or deathmatch or aim training. I think for the most part, like this early season, I'm more playing to like stay in form rather than like improve my ceiling. But just in the game, it's just like playing a lot and trying to stay up to date with like all the meta and like what everyone's doing. I think that's like at least for me, that's the best way for me to stay in form like during the season. Like personally, just trying to like go to the gym, I guess, so I can release some stress, and just trying to live like a generally healthy life, like trying not to eat garbage, but yeah, just trying to be healthy. That's all I really do. I mean, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. What is the distinction for what you said as far as not trying to increase your ceiling, but maintain where you're at consistently? Like, how do you differentiate that in the way that you're practicing or approaching the game in scrims?
I think generally it's just like goal setting. Like when we were playing like Seattle and I was trying to be in form for that, I was more just trying to stay where I was at immediately after champs because I felt like I was in good form during champs, especially at the end. And I was just trying to like maintain that throughout the off season where I think like, oh man, I'm bad with words. I think when I'm trying to like improve my ceiling, it's just a lot about goal setting and being like, I'm gonna play ranked today and I'm gonna work on this specific thing. Like I'm gonna work on my opping, and then the next day, like I'm gonna work on my movement, and the next day be like, I'm gonna work on like how I move around smokes and manipulate smokes. And I think when you're very like specific and like detailed about what you're trying to accomplish, then it's easy to raise your ceiling. But I think just being very intentional on if you're trying to improve something or if you're just trying to like be in form. I think that's, at least for me, like what is important to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there an element of that then that's kind of like load management? Like to some extent, where it's like if you know you're trying to push your ceiling, you're going to be also reaching a ceiling of exhaustion.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance, and there's definitely times that you can like push yourself too hard and end up like burning out at a time that you don't want to. So it's especially during the season, like you're pushing really, really hard, but you're also like keeping track of like where your limit's at and trying not to like go push too far past your limit. Like people like at least this game I feel like is all about like the effort you put in on the hours, and you can technically put in like an infinite amount. But I think for people to like stay at top level and not like flame out, it's important to like try not to push it too far.
Yeah. Was there a time where you learned that lesson because you pushed it too far and then underperformed? Or is this just an observational lesson that you've taken from others?
I don't think I've ever pushed it like too far. I think it's mostly observational. I felt some burnout during champs, but I think I was more like frustrated with like the state of the game than like pushing too hard and playing too many hours. I think I haven't really had it that much.
Frustrated as far as the neon meta of that time?
It was like,
or?
Yeah, it was like I was playing ranked in APAC all day, and it was like neon clove, just like full run it down. Like the game's over in like 25 minutes, but it's like you're kind of just playing a slot machine for the 25 minutes.
Basically just playing TDM. Just load up drift instead, and you're set. Has there been in 2025 now any moments of frustration where you're like, damn, this part of the game we had on lock last year, and now we have to reset and build this back? I mean, that's part of what it takes to win again. But is that a frustrating experience? Are there parts of the game like that?
I definitely had frustrations like, what is it called? Immediately after Bangkok when we lost, and like Sen posted a video, but like my frustrations ran like deeper than that. Like I had more to say than like what I said to the team at the time, but I mean, that's just kind of how it is. Like you lose, you have your frustrations, you get them out, and you move on and try and get better.
Yeah.
But I think at least right now the game state, like being really good in like scraps and like kind of brawls and like little 3v3 like micro interactions. I think it's like super important now, and we were really good at it last year, and I think it's something we needed to improve on immediately after. And I think we have improved on it since then, but like it's so tough and it's so important. I think that's one of those things, I guess.
Yeah, got you. What more did you have to say to the team from that clip, or what else is on your mind?
Kind of just that we all needed to be better and putting in more effort. We did like big role changes, and I wanted everyone to play like their new roles as if it was always their role. Like I think everyone needed a bit more comfort in like what they were playing, and it's definitely gotten better since then. Like people are grinding their stuff in ranked, and the scrim days are really, really productive. So I do think, like, even if I didn't say it, like I think people would have put that effort in anyways. But yeah, kind of just stuff like that. And my teammates have gotten a lot better, and I think I've gotten more comfortable as well my stuff. Because when I was talking to them, I was also like talking to myself, imagining like that I was right next to them. I was talking to myself too. But yeah, it was just like I was definitely frustrated then, but it's just all in the pursuit of like trying to get us to be the best team we can be.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the role swap and another thing because it's just here are the two most common narratives on the team right now. What is the internal perspective? That is one of them. People feel that the role swaps have been this persisting issue. Do you feel that, or rather, how relevant do you actually feel that that's been to the results so far?
I don't think it's been like super relevant. Like I think if roles were different, our team would have relatively the same like ceiling and floor. But I think it's just us trying to figure out like in theory what the max comfortability would be if like all of us were like super comfy on our agents. We have a mean on more initiators now, and it's like it became a pretty common thing in like 2023, 2024 to start having your callers as in the pack as possible. I see people like Def, when we first started playing, he went from Senti to like KO / like second or third in.
Yeah.
Try and keep him in the pack as much as possible, and it helped him to call better. And like FNS kind of transitioned as well. He went from like just being like a hard KJ hard cipher to like playing on breach and stuff and just trying to keep him in the pack. But we did that with Amin. And I think Teo has been like a really easy like plug and play for him. Like he's really comfortable on it, and it's helping him to be in the pack and call more and then just kill people with missiles. Yeah. So it makes the load like lighter for him to be able to play an agent like that. And then we had Narrate, who go from kind of like Senti to more of like a flex / initiator. We changed that coming in from the off season to now. And I think because he's super vocal, so I think it like plays to his strengths the best to be able to have him on like more of a setup agent or an agent that can play for themselves. And he's been looking good with it. And like his best days are like insane. So I'm hoping that he can show some of like that potential soon. And then Zelsis has been kind of just flexing around, and it's been so nice to like, you can just play whatever. Like you can actually just play. Like if we decided one day that I needed to be on Senti, like we could just throw him on Duelist. Like he would just
back
go
to
in.
The Rays.
Yeah,
like the good old days.
He's willing to go in.
Yeah.
He's willing to play passive. Like he can adapt to any kind of role that you want to put him into. So he's been super valuable, and now he's playing more of like Sentinel / anchor, and he's been exceeding in it. And like Narrate, like his best days are really good. So I'm also hoping that he can kind of show that soon. But yeah, we've kind of just been flexing around, trying to play to everyone's strengths and make everyone comfortable.
Yeah. What do you think it's going to take to translate Narrate's like peaks into being his average? Because I think that's been recently, I think people definitely reacting hard off of the crew game as well, that the integration of him into the team is a frustration point for the fans and viewers that are watching. Has it actually been difficult to work him into the team behind the scenes, or is this just something that people are observing from the outside and overblowing?
I think a part of it is like people seeing him not put up like the best numbers and just assuming that like everything's bad.
Yeah.
The thing with Nere is that I'm not ever like doomer about him, because he's very hungry to win, and he's very self-critical when he makes mistakes, and he is always doing his best to fix them. And he'll be super vocal in like server time, or just like when we're talking in theory or before prac. So it's never difficult to work with him, because I always know that he wants what's best for him and the team, and he's always trying to improve and get better. I think we just need to get him as comfortable as possible, like being on the stage and on match day, like making sure that he has his like pregame routine down, that he's comfortable going on the stage. And I think he just needs like to have a really good game on stage, and it'll just kind of like the floodgates will open for him, and it'll just kind of start popping off. I think he's very like momentum based, and if he can get going, like then he'll really get going.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you could right now, just immediately, like snap your fingers, solve one problem with the team, what are you solving right now?
Um, I would snap my fingers and just have all my teammates just like be the most confident in themselves that they can be. I think right now with the game state especially, like outside of like the util dump kind of meta that we have, like just being confident, being able to take one sometimes and hit your shots, like I think it's ultra important right now. And like I was saying before, like the scraps and the brawls are very important, like the small like 3v3 team death matches that you'll see in like one part of the map. I think people making like the right micro decision, like a chaotic moment, if my teammates are like just ultra confident, like it's very easy to make the correct decisions in those spots and be able to make the plays when you have them and like see your opportunities and seize them. So I guess if I could snap my fingers and do one thing, it'd be that.
Yeah. So I take it then to some extent you don't feel that you've had your confidence dip. I mean, it doesn't seem that way, at least from the eye test when I'm watching you play the game. But how do you feel right now in terms of that?
I hope at least that it's been pretty consistent for me. I think it's been pretty consistent and something that I've improved on since like I first joined VCT. I think that I'm playing with the same confidence that I would like on a really good day and a really good bad day. And I just want to hope to keep that consistent. I do think it's been consistent. I haven't had like the best games this year. Like kickoff, I think kickoff I played below my standard and Bangkok as well. But I think I was still like playing and still going in and not like retracting into my shell. Like I think I would have kind of just started playing a bit more passive if it was like 2023 and like started off doing bad and I'd just kind of play more and more passive, like trying not to make any mistakes. But I think like as I've played for longer, like the willingness to make those mistakes and like continue to try and make plays and like take risks and like take your chances, like I think I'm doing it a lot more this year still, even if I haven't had like the best start in the world.
Yeah. How right now do you think you would describe yourself as a player overall? Like what is the state of 2025 you?
I guess like all rounder. I guess that's how I've always like tried to describe myself. But I like to think that my duelist pool is very, what's it called? Very big. I guess.
Yeah.
I like to think that I have every duelist in my like bag of tricks and can whip them out depending on what's meta and what we need on the map at the time. Trying to improve my op as much as possible this year to like keep that consistency across the entire agent pool like the same. So I'm having the same impact on Jet that I'm having on Razor, Neon, or Yoru. But yeah, I would just say all rounder, I guess.
How would you describe Phoenix One Zekken as a player?
Jesus. I guess I would say like instinctual, because like I didn't know much about like tag FPS fundamentals or even like Valorant fundamentals at the time, but I was just on Sova and trying my best. And I think I got lucky. Like I had very solid like intuition for the game, and it kind of felt not easy, but like it felt like the game could come to me if I tried hard enough. And so I just kept like putting a bunch of hours in. But the game was very much just like at the time at least, like just do what you're feeling and hope that it's right. And I think that's pretty much just how I played at the time. And I was just hard Sova and just baiting my team.
Yeah, I mean when you hear like Phoenix One Zekken, or I don't know if there was a team before this that wasn't recorded on VLR, but playing with the Wichita Wolves, like where does that take you mentally as far as where you were in life, what your desires were with trying to have a career in gaming? What was going on for you then?
That when I was playing for those teams, I definitely couldn't like imagine that I would be doing it for a living like a few years down the line. Like back then, especially like when I first started, like my goal was to like make money as if it was like a summer job. So I wasn't like taking it like too seriously. Like I was having a ton of fun with it. And then there was like the opportunity to like make $1. I was like, wow. But it kind of just takes me back to like my old setup in New Jersey, and I have a picture of it on my phone somewhere. I had a full Razor kit, and it was like a set you could get at Walmart, and like my mom got it for me for Christmas.
I had the corniest setup too. I had like the Turtle Beach headset with the Razer Death Adder with the Razer mouse pad.
I had the Razer. I think it was also the Death Adder. I had the $20 Razer mouse pad, and then I don't even know what keyboard. Like I think I just looked up gaming keyboard on Amazon, and that was my keyboard. But yeah, that was like my setup when I first started, and that's what I really think of when I hear those teams are just playing on that setup and be on like 50 ping and just like swinging everything. The game was so fun then. It's still fun now, but it was a very different, like, it felt very like opportunistic. Like starting out, I was like, wow, I can like play against these like really cool players that I watched in CS. Like it was so fun at the time.
Yeah. So you were playing CS prior to that as well, right? And then in your, I guess, just day-to-day life was just like, at the time, you're going to school, come back, and just grind until your eyes bleed playing games all day?
Pretty much. At the time, like COVID just hit, so my school was online. So I had even more time. Like I was playing, I was being dumb. I was playing during class. I was playing after class. I was playing like into the night. Like I don't want to say I guess I was addicted, but I just played the game like as much as I could. It was so fun. And I would play it like with my IRL friends. I would play it with my team. Like I was playing it very casually as well as competitively, like just as many hours as I could. And it wasn't even like with the intent of like I want to get super good. Like I was just having a lot of fun when the game first came out.
Got you. Did you reach a point where you then the switch flipped and you're like, oh, I know I can be the best and I want to be the best?
Yeah, I would say like around the time I was on Wichita Wolves is when like the switch flipped and I realized like, oh, I can be good. I don't remember like exactly when we beat like our first like paid team in a match, but I do remember like scrimming against teams that got paid and being like, if we can beat them, I can get paid. That can be fucking, that'd be awesome. And it was just, they were just scrims, but at least for me, like those scrims mattered to me a lot. Like I remember there was it's also deep in my phone somewhere. Like we scrimmed against Immortals and I started the scrim off really good. I was like 8-0, which like nowadays is like not a super impressive thing. Like you win pistol and you farm some ecos and you're 8-0 and it's not like a crazy thing.
But back then you were putting Bjor Lulu and JC Stani
I was putting
in the
down
dumpster.
Bjor Lulu, JC Stani and Rossi, and I took a picture of it and like sent it to my friend and I was like, dude, I'm fucking good at Valorant. And it was like those early scrims were it just felt so exciting at the time to be able to play against like players that I thought were good.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'm assuming, it was Phoenix 1. That was the first like salary team. No?
Yeah.
That paycheck hit.
The paycheck hit. My first like paid salary ever was $300 a month from Phoenix 1. And I don't even think they paid it.
Bro, I wish I got that when I was playing TF2.
Dude,
I'd have killed for the 300 a month.
It was so cash. And it first hit my bank account. That was like the first money. Like I had won tournament money before, but like my bank account went from like $50 to like $349. And I was like, holy shit. I was like the coolest kid. I felt like the coolest kid in school.
How old were you then?
I think I just turned 16.
Yeah, that's wealth.
Yeah, that's wealth.
You're getting wealth then.
But yeah, I was like, my friends had summer jobs, and they had more than me, but I was like, I got some. But yeah, it was and Phoenix 1 was such a time.
Yeah, and then you guys transitioned into being Noble Gaming for a bit, and then eventually you got the offer come in from XSET, who were a lot of experienced players that were trying to get some upcoming talent in the mix. Do you remember kind of where you were at before or like during that time when XSET, that offer came in? Because my perspective was always that you were like the clear number one upcoming player in tier 2, and I feel like the community recognized that as well. Did you feel that sentiment at the time, or were you in a state where you're feeling like you still have something to prove? You're an underrated player that's in that tier 2 level at the moment.
I knew that like people thought I was good, but I still felt like underrated because I still wanted to have like a really big, or not really big, but just like a really good like tournament performance to be like, hey, I'm good. I didn't think like I had that at the time, at least in like a big tournament. Like I had played well in like tier 3 and like kind of tier 2 tournaments, but it wouldn't be like the best competition in the world. And I just wanted to like play really good against the best teams to like prove that I'm a good player to people. And I didn't think I had the opportunity to do it at the time. But yeah, joining XSET, it was very, very thankful because like there was so much experience on that team, like from a bunch of different games, and it felt like I could kind of just be like a sponge and just kind of like sit there, and even if I wasn't like super talkative, I could just kind of learn from everyone. It was a really cool environment to be in, and it kind of felt like I was almost like intruding even because like it was like all these people with like so much experience who have traveled all over the world like playing. I'm just kind of like a kid, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, wow, you guys are great. But it was really cool to join them, and I'm really glad because they set a really good example for me.
Yeah, I feel like that's been one of the really positive things that you had throughout your career, is that you've been able to be surrounded by very experienced players on all those big rosters that you've been on. What were some of the valuable lessons and takeaways that you were able to get from playing with Def, having Psycho as your coach at the time, both as a player or just as a person generally growing up then?
I think as a person, they just taught me to be like a good professional, like how to handle myself out of game, how to like do things correctly, like with school. Like they were always like, you know, I could come to them with anything. Like if I had any questions or needed any help, I could always come to them, and they were super helpful in that. But just kind of like setting the example of like how I should be as a professional, as a person, and being very encouraging to me, both like in my play and also like trying to get things done with school. I think in game it was just kind of like Def plays very like in Valorant. He played very good Counter Strike. Like I put it like that. Like his tag FPS fundamentals were very solid, and just being able to, he didn't even like have to like tell me, like just kind of like copying his decision making and like understanding what he would do and like in tough positions that I didn't really know how to handle before. Just kind of trying to watch and like emulate both with, I think it was with Def especially, but like the rest of my teammates as well. But Def just had like he was like, he would jiggle like Ethan would like before Ethan did it. Like just, he was a very, very solid player, and just, it was very easy to like kind of sponge off him.
Yeah. You guys had a really great run at the last tournament that you played, which was Champs, where you finished in 5th, 6th place. Prior to that, your team, that XSET squad, were just perennially underrated, and the community, I don't think, ever really gave the team its props. And then you go on that deep run, and then that's the end. Do you feel any sense of, damn, we were just getting to our peak, even though things have obviously, been very positive since moving on? Is there still a part of you that longs for like one more tournament with that team, just one more international showing?
I think, I mean, I would have loved that. I think that would have been cool. It was just a really fun team to be a part of, especially during that Champs run. I do think like I do think it would be tougher for us to go on like an even deeper run. I thought at that Champs run that all of us were kind of peaking at the same time, and I thought it was really cool. I mean, it was peak chamber meta for Cryo, and he was just having like big games every game, which is, it's very convenient to have your teammate just drop 30 every game. And BCJ, I think he's similar to Narrate, where like he's super I forgot the word is blipping. Sorry,
Like
super momentum
inconsistent or-
based.
Oh, momentum based. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, super momentum based. Like he had a really insane champs tournament because he was just hype and he was kind of like compounding the momentum. Like he'd have one good game and then just like hype himself up for the next game, just like talking to himself.
Yeah, I remember he had that game where he dropped like 26 and 8 on. I can't remember what they're called at the time, like the artist angel team
Yeah.
at the time.
He
Yeah,
would kind of just pop off and then be in the comments. He's like, "I'm the best player in the game, baby. I'm the best." But yeah, he was having a great tournament. I don't know. I think one more run with that team would have been really fun.
yeah. Was it tough to let go of that team, despite you're moving on to SEN? It's a big opportunity, but that was the team that had taken you out of tier 2, given you the pro opportunity. You grinded for so long, steady improvement. Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, just despite having the opportunity to join SEN, was that a tough moment to have to move on from them?
Yeah, it was tough. It was unintentionally easier, kind of like assuming that like champs wouldn't be like the last time I would play with them. Like I didn't realize it at the time, so I wasn't like sad about it in the moment when we lost. But then I found out like a little bit afterwards, it was like, oh, franchising's coming in. This team's probably over. Everyone has to go their separate ways, and then it kind of like hit me. But it was definitely tough. Like love all those guys, and still in contact with all of them. They're great. But yeah, it was definitely not the easiest thing in the world to like go to the next. But SEN was, I mean, it's SEN. It was a great opportunity. So I just had to kind of like look forward and being like, yeah, I guess the next chapter is going to be cool, but gonna miss my team.
Yeah, it was, or rather, was it a tough adjustment for you going to SEN from XSET, where you're on this team that had been consistently underrated, overlooked? You cap things off with a great showing at Champions that year, and then you join a team with 2 players that just won Champions. Super team on paper, way higher expectations than XSET ever had, and then you're not able to place as well as you just were. What was that experience like?
It was fun, at least for me. It was fun. Obviously having poor results that year was not fun, but at least from my perspective, like I was still pretty new to professional play, and having 2 world champions on my team as my first like VCT team is very, like, I had to be grateful for it. It was great, and I just wanted to try and learn from them as much as possible, and I kind of detached myself a bit from the results. Like SEN had high expectations and the fans had very high expectations, but I wanted to be realistic with myself and my form, and I wanted to not go insane. So I wasn't like in my head I wasn't like, man, we're a super team, we're gonna make every event, we're gonna beat everyone. And I mean, especially after like Fnatic rolled us in the first lock-in, like it kind of like was a reality check for me, and I wasn't going out with the expectation to just like dominate and like beat everyone and make every event. I was just trying to learn as much as I could still, and it was a pretty hectic year, like up and down year. I mean, Def was gone in the middle of the year, Don was gone in the middle of the year, kind of adapting to Kaplan becoming the new coach and having Marv as an IGL for a bit. I was just trying to learn as much as I could and like figure out myself as a player. And our team's results weren't that good, but I felt like I improved a lot. And so at least from an individual perspective, I was happy with my progress, but obviously knew like I should be, and the team should be capable of a lot more than we accomplished that year. So I was just trying to get better.
Yeah. Did you feel like you had to kind of take a step back and figure yourself out as a player in a different way after Def and Don had left the team? That's like the first time you're on a totally brand new XSET-less team that was really without leadership, transitioning, like you said, into like Marv temporarily. Kaplan just comes on. Yeah, what was different for you then and trying to figure things out, like, I suppose in a sense on your own or just like away from that core?
I think at that point I had kind of figured out who I was as a player, and I knew how I liked to play and wanted to play. So I think like identity wise, it wasn't too different. Like I was no longer with my XSET teammates and like the people that I've been playing with for a while. I was kind of completely new, but I was confident enough to like still play like myself. Like I didn't really like retract and start playing passive. I was taking risks, and I was on Flux at the time, and then later they switched me to Duelist like towards the end of the year, and that transition like kind of, what's it called? Like the confidence stuff I was talking about had to like especially stay the same, because if I like started playing passive, especially when they had now just put me on Duelist, like it would have gone very, very poorly. So I just had to, it was kind of like sink or swim. Like if my form was as good as I thought it was, then I would have been fine. And thankfully it was, but I mean, there was a world that I, like after Don and Roy leave, I just start playing like shit, and that could have snowballed into being very not good for me.
Yeah. Do you feel like, I mean, sort of throughout that year and with a prior talk about it being a super team and the expectations of the community, I take it then that doesn't really penetrate your mental approach to the game? You're, sounds like, kind of working in the isolation of the project itself or within yourself and not taking in that external feedback. Is that something you had to get over and work past, or just that just kind of always been how you have been?
I think that's pretty much always how I've been. I mean, most of my teammates, like when I was sorry, I'm blanking so hard.
No, you're fine.
When I was first joining XSET, like they were big on, when I was talking about like Def and Roy helping me to be like a professional, they were pretty big on telling me to like just focus on the team and focus on myself, and what people say is like I can't really control it. And so they were very big on telling me to like not pay that much attention to it and just try and stay like as productive as possible. So yeah, I've always been like pretty detached, I guess, from it. Like I do still see it because, you know, I'm on social media. I'm not like completely like in the dark, but I try not to let it affect like my own personal like individual growth as well as the team's growth. Like just I'm the guy that's like in the server every day, like actually seeing what's going on. So just try and do my best with that and not let it affect me, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of that first initial VCT year, obviously things were not ideal at that time. It was pretty tough. When you were heading into that off season, where were you at with your desires as a player? Were you like, okay, we got to reset. I'm hungry to win this trophy. I came so close before. What was your plan, your goal, your desire moving forward?
My thought process going into that offseason was kind of like, it's only up from here. Like 2023, we pretty much just lost out and didn't make anything. So I was like, 2024 can't be that bad. Like surely we can make an event or not, or like go positive in the regular season. So it felt like kind of an only up from here kind of mentality. But at the same time, I also still felt like I could prove myself a lot more just as a player and as an individual. So all of us were just grinding super hard and very, very hungry to get better and kind of prove that we could be way better than the 2023 year.
Was there a moment that you can remember where when you started playing with both John and Zelsis in the roster that things clicked and you kind of internally felt like, oh, holy shit, this is the one. Like everything is working right now?
I think it was pretty early or like midway through the off season. Just like how productive the days felt, I think were like the biggest thing for me. Jordan especially is so productive in like the server time and how he handles conversations and just bringing ideas to the team. It was so valuable, and I thought it was like a breath of fresh air when he first came to the team and was doing that. I think we had a kind of a lack of that before, and then Amin coming in and he just called well and shot well, and it was very smooth, and it felt nice to like have a proper dedicated IGL Jimmy was a good IGL when he came in and like filled in the shoes, but I think like I don't think he wanted to be an IGL. Like I think if he had his like preferred role, it wouldn't be that. Whereas like I knew he wanted to be an IGL, and I knew that like that was his main goal, and that he'd work to improve on it. So it felt a lot more stable, I guess. But yeah, I would say like midway through that off season when I started to feel like that stability and felt like we could get really, really good days in and like keep improving, I guess that's when.
Yeah. Oh, another somewhat similar, just in the fact that I want to ask if there was a moment you realized, but for the finals at Madrid, when you're playing against Gen G, you're on map 5 of Icebox. As a viewer, there was a point where you knew that it was over. And obviously, as a player, you don't want to get ahead of yourself. That's when you get cursed and they make a comeback and you lose on map 5 in the finals and go home very sad. But regardless of that, was there a moment for you in that final map where you kind of internally realized that we are actually doing this? Like, this is about to happen?
It didn't really hit for me until like actually the last kill, because I'd always heard like when you're on the last round and about to win, you don't play as if it's the last round and you're about to win. You play it as if it's any other round, because if in your head you want to like end it, you end up like forcing things that you shouldn't be forcing, and you can throw leads away like that. So in my head, I was like, even at 12-6 in my head, I was just like, all right, just play it. Just play it like it's a regular game. Play it like it's a regular game. Don't throw this. Don't throw this. And I was very dialed. I was caffeinated up. So I wasn't thinking like super, super hard about it, but I was kind of just trying to play it as if it was a regular game. And then on that last round, we faked B, we went back A. I think we got the first we went 3 for 2 or 3 for 1. Like we got the trades on our favor on the A site, and then Amin Viper ulted, and then in my head I was like, okay, wait, maybe we can win. maybe it's happening, because I was dead at that point too. I'm watching like a 3v1 with the Viper ult down, and I'm like, oh wow, we're gonna win.
There's no way these guys throw this.
Yeah, I was like, surely they don't throw this. and then we won, and it was great. Everything was great.
Yeah. What was the immediate reaction for winning? Did it like process right away that you have accomplished the like North Star of the game? Or was there a second of like, wait, did we just do this shit?
Yeah, it was very like holy shit. Like it was very I guess surreal is the word, because like I got up and I looked to my left and I see Gustavo, and he's just like the hypest I've ever seen him. And he gives me a big hug, and I'm like, holy shit. And I think that's when it kind of like set in that it was like it happened. And then I just tried to like take it in as much as possible. I tried to like look at all my teammates and like see what their faces were like and see how happy they were. And then like I tried to look to the crowd too. Like I wanted to be, I guess, like as present as possible and try to remember it as best as I could, because I knew that like, you don't get moments like that very often. So I kind of just tried to take it all in as much as possible, and it was a great moment.
What was it like after that? Like the next week or two, there's a little bit of downtime before the regular season was going to start. What were you then thinking about the future? Was there any like, what do I do now? Like, yeah. Was that a question?
Nah, I was very happy immediately after, but in my head I was kind of just like, man, I really want to do that again. So as soon as I could, like, I started playing again, and maybe that was a bad idea. Maybe I should have given myself more of a break, but we did have the season coming up. So when we did get home, I was pretty quick to starting to like grind rank again. We didn't have prac at that time because Amin he went to Morocco to get his visa. So we didn't have prac. So I was trying to just grind ranked, but I was a very happy boy for the next like 2 weeks, but I was back to the grind pretty quick.
Yeah. And then, after that, there was that like middle of the year down period for the team. And then by the end of the year, you don't win champs, but you went on another great run that easily cemented your team as one of the top of the year, if not the best team of the year, arguably. When you look back on 2024, that roster, that chapter in your career, how would you kind of summarize that?
I would summarize it as like our team like reached, for the most part, like the potential that we had, and we obviously had high highs and low lows. Like the middle of the season was very, very bad for us. Like we were in bad form and played poorly, but at our peaks we were really good, and it was very cool to see TenZ and Sacy, especially towards the end of the year. Like knowing that I knew Tyson was going to retire before champs, but I didn't know about Gustavo. But I found out like midway through champs that he was going to retire after. But just seeing like the amount of effort that they put in, knowing that it was going to be the end or like the last tournament we played together, or like the end of their careers even. I mean, they might come back. I don't know. That would be cool. But seeing how much effort they put in, knowing like it could be the last tournament, it was really cool to see. And I thought we came as close to like reaching our potential as we could.
Damn, how did that hit you midway through the tournament that Sacy was going to be retiring?
I mean, it was tough because I mean, I love Gustavo. I loved playing with him, but it's kind of like hard to. I mean, you couldn't really like stop grinding at that point. You can't like sit and mope about it. Especially then, because like I found out, and then we had like games very soon.
Yeah,
very soon after. So it wasn't
what part of the tournament was that? Do you remember?
I think it was after groups that I found out. I think he told everyone at like different times when he was comfortable. But I think I found out after groups. But yeah, it was a tough thing to hear like in the moment, but I couldn't think about it too much. I just wanted to do my best for him. I do remember because we knew Tyson was champs was going to be his last tournament before the tournament, and we lost our first game, and I played really poorly. We played against Shenji, and I played really poorly, and we lost our first game, and then we were one game away from getting grouped, and I was like, man, I can't let him go out like this. So I really had to dial in and try and be better for the rest of the tournament. Thankfully I did, but I just remember the first game losing and being like, holy shit, I had just dropped a 0.5 rating and Tyson's about to retire. I'm an asshole.
Yeah. Do you walk away from that tournament then feeling proud of the result that you were able to have making the deep run?
I was definitely like immediately kind of disappointed, like with the feeling like, because we had one game in the Inspire Arena and then we got third, fourth, but in my head I was like, man, we could have won the tournament. And I think that's kind of just how I am as a competitor, but I am happy that we got to have a good run for their last runs.
Yeah,
I definitely would have been pissed if we got grouped, and I'm happy that we made it farther than that, but I mean, it would have been nice to win the tournament. I guess that's just how I always look at it.
Of course. This is kind of the second time in your career that when I was sort of thinking about it in the macro, that you had another pair of people that were incredibly experienced now on this new team that can offer a lot of guidance after the first time with the guys on XSET departing, and now it's happening again where you have this roster that reaches a peak and two of these core experienced players are going to step away at the time. What were then with these two guys the things that you were able to take away as a player and as a person from them?
From Gustavo, his mentality when he gets to internationals is something that will always like stick out to me. He was just an ultra grinder. The second he got to a tournament, he would instantly just gun for Radiant on whatever region it would be, and he would be in the prac room playing ranked like 2 hours before practice and then play until bedtime basically. Like he was just nonstop, like fully focused on winning, and like just as a competitor, he like really set the example for like how I think someone should win when they go to an international. So I try and follow that. I try to follow it in Bangkok and try and get on kind of his routine, and it's like pretty mentally taxing. Like I was saying like before, like there is a balance between like managing like the burnout and like trying not to go for like 16-hour days every day, but he was very mentally strong. Like he would play like APAC ranked, and people are like running it down on him, and he's trying to work on like his Sova, and he would not tilt. He would just go next. And I think I have some learning to do from that, because I just want to win every game, and I get tilted if I don't. But just kind of his mindset and his mentality, especially in international tournaments, is something I'll always have from him. And then Tyson, he's just very creative. Like on every agent he played, he was just incredibly creative, and he really utilized his mechanics and abused them. Like he was able to be creative because he could just insta kill everyone. And I kind of want to just take a bit of his play style with me. And his mentality when he gets to internationals is similar to Sacy, but he does it in his own way. He's just very focused. Like he's not like an ultra grinder. He's not going to play for like 16 hours a day, but he will get he'll play in like short bursts, but be very like intentional with his short bursts and be very productive with them. And like play style wise, I think that's something I'll take with me from him. Just being super creative and confident with your mechanics. And yeah, I think that's just something I can like from him.
Yeah. At that time then, after they had retired, did you have any considerations or reconsiderations of what you wanted to do moving forward? Like, do you intend on just trying to play Valorant until the wheels fall off, as long as you enjoy it, as long as you want to compete?
I think for me, yeah. I mean, I really enjoy competing still. That's never changed for me. Like I'm a big complainer. Like I'll have my frustrations with like the game or like the state of the agents or like the map pool, but my enjoyment of competing and just like being on stage and doing my best with my teammates and trying to win, like that, I don't think that'll ever, I mean, I hope that the enjoyment of that doesn't go away. And as long as I have that, I'll keep competing and trying my best. And even though I do complain about the game, like the game is still fun to me. Like I do enjoy the mechanics, and I enjoy playing my duelist and flying around or teleporting around and doing my thing. So I think I'll enjoy that for a while, and I hope I enjoy that for a while, and I'll just keep trying to competing while I can.
Yeah. We, back at the beginning when we were kind of talking about the current Sentinels, we briefly touched on that clip that they had posted of you giving the speech after the loss at Bangkok. Or I say speech, but, just addressing your concerns to the team in a way where, you were expressing that you were making these mistakes, they were making these mistakes. If we want to win, we have to do X, Y, and Z, be better at adapting, etc. I think when people saw that, the intuitive response was that, oh, this guy is picking up the mantle of where some of the more experienced players left, because now you're bringing in a guy like Narrate, who's only got one season under his belt previously. Bang is a little bit more experienced, obviously, than him, but you just lost 2 tenured world champions. Do you feel like that's true? Do you feel like that you have to be a more experienced voice on the team now? Is that something that you want to be? Is it something that you feel like you have to be?
I don't feel like it's something that I have to be, but I feel like it's something I'm becoming and would become no matter what. I think I'm becoming like that mostly just because of experience and not because like the team needs it. Because I think like in terms of like giving big talks and being like conversation starters, like Cap, Zelsis, and John and Luke or Gunter are all like very exceptional in that and can do that like whenever they want. But I just want to be a good teammate and make sure, like, at least in that moment, like I just didn't want to hold things in. And I think as I'm getting more experience, it's becoming easier for me to hold myself accountable and also hold the team accountable and just try and do everything I can to make us improve. And I mean, in that moment, like, at least in that moment, I didn't like have to immediately say what I said, but it was gonna eat at me if I like left it there. So I said it to them in that moment, and then Sen recorded it, but like moments like that will happen.
Content
Like
demons.
yeah, moments like that will happen regardless. And I think just as I'm getting more experience as a player, I'm becoming more and more comfortable like expressing myself like that, both to my team and like being self-critical as well. But yeah, I think it would have happened regardless. Like if the same thing happened with last year's team, I would react in the same way.
Got you. What was the team's response to that after what was shown in the clip? Was that a shared feeling that you were expressing?
I would say so. I think team took it well. They knew there was like no hard feelings, that I wasn't like getting on them to be like I wasn't getting on them to be like an asshole. I was getting on them to make us better, and they knew that. And I said it before with like Neri, but I think it applies to the whole team. Like I'm not worried because everyone is so hungry to get better and to improve at what we're bad at and to, fix our mistakes. So it's never like I'm never gonna give up on the team. Like I know we can always improve, and I know we can reach our potential. Just have to trust our process and keep working at it.
Yeah. What have you felt in 2025 or just recent times that you've had to look back in the mirror at yourself, be critical of this mistake you're making, whether that be in game, out of game, something that you need to focus on for yourself right now that you think can take you to the next level?
I think I needed to focus on myself I think I needed to focus on myself more than I had been at the start of the year. I was really worried about like being a good teammate and integrating Marshall and Sean into our system. I focused less on like my individual form, and it was what I was saying before of like I wasn't really working on like improving my ceiling. I was kind of just trying to stay in the same form I had been and be a good teammate in the process. But I thought I did need to increase my ceiling and continue to get better and better alongside that. So I made a pretty big focus like going into Bangkok and after Bangkok, just working on my individual form and just making sure that I'm still improving in that regard, like aim training, working on my op, working on my position, just playing ranked with intention, just like everything, and just trying to put more hours into making myself the best. Because I can be a great teammate, but I don't need to focus like my entire attention on being a great teammate. Like alongside being a good teammate, my teammates also need me to be a good player. So I really just wanted to focus on improving my individual form, especially coming into this split. But I'm going to keep staying on top of that. And I needed to kind of realize that I needed to focus on that immediately after kickoff. And I'm just going to try and keep at it and be in the best form I can throughout the season.
For sure. Do you have any, feelings or thoughts on like, this is what I'm going to try to do next whenever this does end up coming to an end for whatever reason? Because I also ask that because a random piece of lore that I discovered is that you did a color cast for a tournament a couple of years ago, that's the classic player to talent pipeline. Like that it was, I did not expect that when I randomly turned over a stone and uncovered that hidden secret. Like it's just so random, but is that something that you would actually want to do in the future? Or where are you sort of at with that?
That color cast was really fun.
Yeah.
I did it with Last. He's great. I don't even know if he commentates Valorant. I thought he was a Smash commentator, but he was awesome. I don't know. I don't have like set plans for what to do when I'm done. I would like to be involved in the game if I wasn't playing, like whether it be as a coach. I don't know how I'd fare as a talent. I'm not the best with words. And I mean, casting would be tough as fuck for me. It would be very difficult for me, but like I see players go on the desk a lot. I think that would be cool. Go on the desk sometimes. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be like a job, but I think it'd be something I could do if I wasn't playing. But pretty much, yeah, I just want to be involved in Valorant, whether it be coaching or on a desk or something. I would just want to be involved in the game.
Yeah, for sure. When you're looking back then on like a previous thinking back to a previous era of you competing, where you were at in life, like, what do you think has been the most significant points of growth for you in your competitive career since, playing on Phoenix One into XSET, into the ups and downs of Sentinels?
The most important moments?
Or no, sorry, like the most of the pieces of like growth that you've felt or that you feel looking back, like what really stands out to you?
I guess my time through XSET was very like influential in that sense. I think I grew a lot from like what I was saying before of just like having teammates that like set a good example for me and showing me how to be a competitor and how to be a professional. I think like that whole tenure on that team was really important to me, and like that was the first time I ever got to like an international tournament and got to my first time in general like playing at LAN like with a team, or playing like an official LAN with a team. I think that was a really important experience for me. And then I think when it was a few months after I joined SEN, but like when I moved here, I think that was a really important point for me. Just figuring out, like I finally had finished school and I finally moved, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna set up base at my apartment and I'm gonna figure out how to get my routine right and be a good player. And I think figuring that out was really important for me as well, and like getting a routine down. And like since then, it's been pretty much just like staying consistent, like doing what I know works to help me improve and help my team improve, and it's been working so far decently.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I've been monitoring the time because I don't want Kaplan to force you to run laps, do suicide runs outside of the SEN office for showing up 5 minutes late to prac. So I am going to cut it off now, just in case. But yeah, I appreciate being able to join me on this early morning and making this happen after trying to set it up for like 3 months straight. But I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
All right. We're all good.